Hey, look, it's the Kaiju Collector. Yay! Hey, it's the Kaiju Collector, and today we will be taking a look at the Bandai movie monster series Godzilla and Kiryu from Godzilla against Mechagodzilla from 2002. Now, despite these two figures being from the same movie, they actually came out at different times, with Godzilla here being released in late 2024, while Kiryu here was released back in May. So there is a bit of a difference in the time that they were released in, but are they on par with each other? Let's take a look, starting at their tags. Okay, so Godzilla's tag here is a little bit beat up because, well, I got him back in Japan and he had to go through like a whole luggage and everything. Despite that, this tag is still absolutely fantastic, with an absolutely fantastic image of Godzilla here roaring, and it says Gojira 2002, Godzilla 2002, Gojira 2024. Inside the tag we get the basic movie monster series stuff, pause to read the translation. And the back of the tag has a cutout of Godzilla 2002's dorsal fins with Gojira x Mechagodzilla, Movie Monster Shirizu, Bandai Namco, and Movie Monster Series in English. And that's pretty much it with this figure's tag. Kiryu's tag here shows Mechagodzilla 2002 version 2, Mechagodzilla version 2.0. Gojira 2025 is an absolutely fantastic image of Kiryu. Here's the inside of the tag, pause to read the translation. Cut out of Kiryu's backpack part here. Bandai Namco, Bandai, Gojira x Mechagodzilla, Movie Monster Shirizu, Movie Monster Series, and that's pretty much it with this figure's tag. And with that out of the way, the tags are all nice and protected. Now that we're done with that, let's take a look at this figure's articulation. In terms of articulation, Godzilla can move all the way around at the head, be careful with the tag, back and forth at the arms. They can go all the way around, but I'm not risking it. The legs can go all the way around. Yes, both legs can do so, and the tail cannot move at any part. And that's pretty much it in terms of Godzilla's articulation. Godzilla's articulation is very good. I'm giving it a solid 10 out of 10. And as for Kiryu here, Kiryu can move all the way around at the head here. He can go all the way around at these arms here. Nothing at the waist, nothing at the knees, nothing at the legs, but you will have a rotation all the way around at the tail. Standard Mechagodzilla articulation, so I'm giving it a solid 10 out of 10. And now that we're done with that, let's take a look at these figures' painting and sculpting. In terms of Godzilla's paint, Godzilla really only has 5 colors. A silver, an off-white for the toes, claws, and teeth, a burgundy for the inner mouth, a gold, and black for the eyes, and that's really it. And the base color here is a dark gray, which looks nice. In terms of his detail, however, Godzilla really has the same details as Godzilla 1999, which if you haven't watched the review, Godzilla mainly has these spiky details and the signature Godzilla skin. Let's take a look at where they're applied though. Starting at Godzilla's head here, we have a ton of great details. Around here at the neck, we get some very nice grid-like details that look absolutely fantastic paired with the spiky detail on the neck. Can't really see it, but there is detail in the top of that mouth. And the tongue has some great detail. Godzilla has some fantastic golden eyes, and is his like upper jaw broken or something? Moving on to his neck here, we get some fantastic spike details along with the first 2 dorsal nubs and the area where the tag is applied. Godzilla's arms are basically the same as any other Godzilla's arms. Paint looks very nice on this figure. Of course, it's on both sides, and there's a bit of like a paint chip there on his nail. Godzilla's feet look nice with the details, the knees, and the toes. Painted on both sides, of course. Bottom of his feet say trademark and Tohoku Ltd. and Bandai China with a bunch of numbers. In terms of the body, he mainly is comprised of all the spike details and these little like circular looking details across his chest and his lower body. Tail here looks very nice, traditional Godzilla skin, and when you get to the bottom, it's this nice sort of like curvy line pattern that goes all the way to the tip of the tail here. Now on these dorsal fins, which look absolutely fantastic, they are a bit smooth, not gonna lie, but they still look nice in terms of their base shape. I don't know what is going on with that dorsal fin over there. The paint complements it with this absolutely fantastic silver, which stops to this dorsal fin over here. And surprisingly, the dorsal fin plug on this figure is very small. Usually it would be about this big, but in this case it mainly takes up like 2 dorsal fins. Still, the detail looks great. Look at that detail on the tail here. Wow, that looks so nice. Overall, Godzilla's painting and detail looks absolutely fantastic, except for maybe the dorsal fins here, which are a bit smooth. but overall, it's very nice. However, there is one major complaint I haven't talked about yet, which is the detail, as you can see, isn't really there. You see, when you take a look at a different Godzilla figure, which would be, let's say 2001 Godzilla, you can see every single minute detail even from a distance. Look at that. However, with this figure, they're kind of smoothened out. Is it just me? It's especially noticeable on the chest. Look at that. And it never was a problem on Sokugeki Goji, so I don't know what's going on here. Still, it's absolutely fantastic. A solid 8 out of 10 for Kiryu Goji. Now, for the figure I'm really excited to talk about, which is Kiryu 2002 here. Kiryu looks stunning. Look at all that detail. I can't even pinpoint a proper detail on this figure, but if I had to, I'd say these little wire-like details across the figure, because it's basically everywhere. Starting off with Kiryu's head, oh my god, it looks so good. He's got some eye detail, which was not present on a previous Kiryu figure we'll talk about later. Back of his head looks absolutely fantastic. The neck has some absolutely fantastic black accents, which are across the figure, but not fully across. I'll talk about that later. Wonderful dark blue cannon. Unfortunately, it's not fully painted, as you can see. That is a very big disappointment, considering the fact that, like, the main part of Kiryu here is the blue, and you look underneath, it's just like gray for some reason. I don't know why. Kiryu's chest here looks nice, though not as detailed as the original Kiryu 2002, which had a like bit of writing here, but it's not here, unfortunately. You see that? They detail these little grid patterns on his chest. That is so good. And I know mecha figures have always been Bandai's sort of thing, because even with Mechagodzilla 2021, which didn't even look that good from a distance, had some very minute details that even Playmates didn't get. Those arms, I mean, their arms really. I do like the dark blue accents, and unlike the shoulder cannons here, they are essentially fully painted. Inside the hand, we get some absolutely fantastic details. Kiryu's legs here have the black accents and a red arrow here. Beautiful detailing on his toes here. Unfortunately, the black accents aren't present on the other side, but we do get some absolutely fantastic detail at the bottom of the feet though. Trademarking Toho Co. Ltd. Bandai China with a bunch of numbers, and some absolutely fantastic details all across the tail. Except for the tip of the tail. Yeah, it's not really that good, it just looks like a lump of triangles. But what doesn't look like a lump of triangles are these little dorsal nubs, and I mean, they look good up to here until they get to like these square triangle things. Moving on to Kiryu's dorsal fins, and they're good. I would say that. Nice screw details and some little details across here, and even in between these shoulder cannons, the dorsal fins are sculpted in there. Great job on the sculpt, but unfortunately, his paint is quite minimal. I know there is a second Kiryu figure out there, which was released before this figure, and it looked even worse than this, but still, I feel like you could have done more. Like, why not do it here, or even here? But instead, we just got it on the neck, the thighs, the ankles, and that's really it. Not any black accents even over here. I would have loved to see that, but unfortunately, it's just purely silver. But hey, at least we got the red lines on his cheeks. Overall, Kiryu's paint and detail is okay. It's not the best, but it isn't the worst. If I had to rate them individually, paint would probably get a 7 out of 10, but the detail would get an absolutely fantastic 9 out of 10, as there is. When I said I rated it a 9 out of 10, here's what I mean. The inside of the mouth really doesn't look that good, honestly. It's just like a bunch of triangles, and the teeth really don't look that good. And same with the tip of the tail and these last few dorsal nub things. They're not really that well sculpted. So yeah, if I had to average them out, probably a standard 8 out of 10 in terms of Kiryu's painting and details. And now that we're done with that, let's take a look at these figures' size and size comparisons. In terms of Godzilla's height, Godzilla will be approximately 6 to 6.5 inches tall. Kiryu will be actually a little bit taller than Godzilla at almost 7 inches tall. Wow. And as for size comparisons, here he is compared to Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla from Godzilla 2001, Bandai Movie Monster Series Monster X, Movie Monster Series Hedorah, and of course, the Godzilla Island Monster Series Heisei Era Godzilla figure. Now for the final comparison here, let's take Godzilla out of the frame and focus it on Kiryu once more, because I have a second Kiryu figure, that being Kiryu from Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Now I know he doesn't have a tag, but I still have it with me. There are some differences, believe it or not, that being Kiryu 2002 has a bigger head compared to 2003 Kiryu. Why? Look at that, there's no detail in his eyes. Very sad. But the arrow here is painted, and it's not painted here. Look at the dark accents. They're not on the tail, but it's on his neck, these lower areas here, and even on his thighs and calves. Unfortunately, it's not here for some reason. I don't know why. But I will say, I do prefer it being pure black compared to just like a dark gray because, well, it looks kind of weird somehow. And also, you know what? Looking at these two from a distance, this looks way nicer on a shelf because, I don't know, I feel like this Kiryu is a lot more bare bones since there's no like dark accents anywhere. But, you see that? Kiryu 2002 is actually taller than Kiryu 2003. I don't know if that's an actual difference or not, but I just wanted to point that out. Kiryu 2003 has a much better tip of the tail here, look at that, compared to whatever this is. So yeah, to be honest, in a lot of ways, Kiryu 2003 actually is a lot better compared to Kiryu 2002. But in this case, I prefer Kiryu 2002 considering he's more movie accurate. But if you want a figure that just looks better overall, then go for Kiryu 2003. And who knows, if you're good at repainting stuff, you could probably repaint it to look like battle damage. You can even paint these shoulder cans to look like a different color, who knows. But still, these two figures are absolutely fantastic nonetheless. And now, for their overall scores. Godzilla 2002 will get a solid 9 out of 10 in terms of his paint, detail, and articulation combined. While Kiryu 2002 here will get a solid 8.5 out of 10, mainly because of a couple flaws I mentioned earlier. They're both very good figures, and I highly recommend to get them. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later with the next review. I don't know what's going to be, but yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys.